Farage has now got an answer. He's not got an answer from the top. He's got an answer from a boffin. This boffin has basically told him to mind his own business when it comes to relationship between Trump and the British government. It's a story of political ambition, bold ambition, diplomatic posturing, a dash of audacious self-promotion, and Farage is squeezing himself into that little space to act as an interlocutor between the UK government and the US President-elect Donald Trump. Farage, this emblematic figure of the Brexit movement, the leader of the Reform UK party, made headlines with his offer to help to be a go-between between Trump and Keir Starmer, the sort of Dominic Guard of the moment, leveraging his camaraderie with Trump, bolstered by photo ops at Trump's election victory in Florida. Farage has painted himself as the perfect diplomatic bridge. He said that assisting Britain during this politically pivotal period was in the national interest, like envisaging himself at the forefront of transatlantic relations, cigar in hand and some gilded salon of statecraft being used. Enter Treasury Secretary, Chief Secretary Darren Jones, and in a Sky News session, he was doing an interview, and Jones, with an air of composed amusement, dismissed the unsolicited application with, frankly, quintessential British diplomacy, British subtlety, British. It was very British. He said it was understated. I think that's probably unlikely, he said, perhaps masking a smile. And with a deft pivot, he suggested that Farage's true calling lay not in Washington's corridors, but in the voters of Clacton, who presumably might appreciate a full-time MP rather than a transatlantic commentator indulging in political theatre on foreign soil. It's worth noting that Farage's globe-trotting has not escaped criticism. His constituency work in Clacton has been overshadowed by extensive travels, not only across the Atlantic, but also to other places in the UK, with or without the sitting MP's permission. It's important that if a sitting politician goes to another constituency, Farage should be asking that other constituency MP for permission, or at least to say that he's going there. Has he been doing this? And while he maintains he's served his constituents through online consultations, there's scepticism about that. After all, this is a man who famously said that did he truly want to spend every Friday for the next 5 years in Clacton? Comments that will predictably come back to haunt him, because it can't just be me that remembers that comment. Darren Jones's rebuff underscores a broader reality, doesn't it? That Farage's bravado and charisma may win applause at rallies, but diplomacy, especially the delicate context of Trump's isolationist rhetoric and protectionist policies, demands seasoned tacticians. And the UK government, led by Starmer, appears determined to steer its own ship without the megaphone diplomacy associated with Farage. It requires some sort of delicate manoeuvring, not the sledgehammer of statements for the media. Jones also said that the government's diplomatic apparatus was far from feeble. He said the counterfactual that we do not have influence or relations with the US is simply not true. In essence, Britain doesn't need to outsource its statecraft to the wide boys, even if someone with an ear as purportedly receptive as Trump's to Farage's overtures. Farage playing Car to Trump's Mowgli or Mowgli. And Farage's offer, whether born of a genuine patriotism or a strategic self-promotion, was met with a sharp rebuff, framed with wry civility. Well done, Jones. Jones's response and Farage's persistent foray into international spectacle, pushing myself forward, epitomised a balancing act in British politics between showmanship and substance, ambition and the status quo. The scene is set. How Farage navigates his role, domestically or otherwise, remains to be seen. But for now, it seems Westminster's corridors are not going to be entertained with the echo of his intermediary footsteps. Farage is being told to get back to where he belongs, and frankly, I'm sure his constituents will appreciate that direction.